now? Saturday? We left Wednesday morning. We leave at 5:30. Yeah, got here at about noon. We had to wait for the Corvette to show up. There was some last minute work that had to be done on it up in North Carolina. Mike Dalton was here with his orange truck already. Enrique showed up with his Colorado about 2 o'clock. After some work, we got all the cars ready to go to first round qualifying. So nobody tested on Wednesday, which is unusual for us. Usually we're testing on Wednesday, sometimes even Tuesday, but we all just met up in Rockingham and went testing there. So we came in with some confidence because the car was going really fast to the 60 foot, the Pro Mod for Rod, Enrique's truck didn't really need testing. It was just going to go, like a bracket truck like it always does. Mike Dalton's truck, the orange truck, shouldn't have needed testing either, but all said and done, everything that went down for the weekend, I kind of wish we would have showed up earlier and went testing. It just seemed like every time we turned around, there was one more issue that we wish we could have caught, and basically none of us made what I would call good passes all weekend. The little white Colorado made one good or two good passes, but it didn't go any faster than it normally did or anything. So Wednesday night qualifying, Mike Dalton's truck showed up. Let's go with the trans brake, rides out. Think it's gonna go the full pull. Lockup comes on, rattles the tires. So we realize why when we get back to the pits that we've had his dump setup hooked up wrong the entire time, which we'll get into how that bit us in the ass later. And then Enrique just made a simple hit, nice and clean, down the track it goes. So Wednesday night, Rod's car comes out. We got a bunch of power in it. We've tightened the converter up since the last time we've been testing. He lets go of the brake and the car just, it hauls ass. It goes 994 60 foot, but it was going left really hard with the front tires off the ground. Thankfully, he kept it off the wall, didn't trade paint with nothing. Might have shit his pants, but that's about it. Came back, we realized how much that converter did. So we put some chassis adjustments in. We lowered the front 200 thousandths, hung 5 pounds on the nose, twisted on some bars in the back, realized that the converter was way more aggressive, so we manipulated our converter dumps around a little bit and got those situated. Thursday, there's testing all day long. None of us do testing. The weather's crap. That's another thing I forgot about. The weather was absolute horrible all weekend. So typically we get 4, sometimes even 5 qualifiers for this. So we were really counting on that because the weather was supposed to be really nice. We ended up with 3, which is still not a bad number. We shouldn't need 5 qualifiers to get the job done. And it's embarrassing that I'm whining that I wish I could have had 5, but I wish I could have had 5 because we, might have gotten done what we wanted to get done, at least with the Pro Mod out here. Weather was crap Thursday. Nobody tested. Weather was crap Friday. They didn't even get one complete run order of everybody in on Friday or Thursday for the testing. So they finished up the run order for qualifying, ended up finishing it, some of it last night, and then had some left over for Saturday morning. We went up last night with the Pro Mod, which would have been Friday. Didn't think we were going to run. We were actually all out at the steakhouse. Rod was about to order an old fashioned that he'd been talking about for days. He did order it. It showed up to the table and we got the notification that we had to go. Like RVW was getting called to the lanes in 2 classes. We thought we were done because of the rain. So I, of course, had to slam it down for him. And then we headed back. We loaded up, got there in time, got the car ready. We actually had a little more time than we thought we did because we had issues on the track. So the Pro Mod itself goes out there and does the absolute most beautiful 1 flat 60 foot, dead straight, exactly what it's supposed to be doing, running great. And it tries to shift into second gear. And when it does, it busts something in the transmission, which at 2 o'clock last night, we figured out was the ring gear in the gear set. This is the 3rd one we've broke. Thankfully, we have a full spare. It's actually the transmission out of my Nova. We yanked the parts around, switch it around so that transmission will go in the car. No big deal. Didn't change anything. Just wanted to go back out with a fresh transmission and try to do that over again for Saturday. Mike Dalton with the orange truck had a huge issue with fuel pressure. Ended up being a pretty silly issue. It's tough to have fuel pressure if you don't have enough fuel in the tank, so it causes a fuel pressure issue. Typically starts as a fuel volume issue, and then because of lack of volume or lack of quantity, you can't have pressure. So then it doesn't start, and it's kind of embarrassing and runs like crap and stalls and stuff. Back to the pits, fill it up with fuel, and it's all good to go. So in the middle of this, we realized that his converter dump setup hasn't been working correctly the whole time, and so we make a huge change. Because his truck doesn't make a pass because it stalls, now we're going into first round eliminations with the converter dump never have working before, and we made a major change to it. So we'll talk about that in eliminations when we get there. Enrique's truck goes on the track, nothing special, right? No time stuff. So come Saturday, no more qualifying passes. We're going straight into eliminations. So we'll start with the Pro Mod. Saturday we come up, we have a brand new transmission. We think we're going to go into eliminations early. So we do not test spool the car like we normally would, because based on the run order, we thought we would be run up soon. So we warmed the car up, but did not test spool it with the new transmission. And this will prove to be detrimental here shortly when I tell the rest of the story. The reason we didn't test spool is I didn't want to put so much heat in the converter converter. It takes a while to cool it down. It's really important that our fluid is cool, so we have the most fluid coupling in the transmission going down the racetrack. So we opted not to test spool it because it should work fine, right? We changed the whole transmission, but it's identical, so it should work fine. Everything else function tested, so we didn't touch it. So we get up to the start line. He does his burnout. Burnout seems kind of weak, but I thought maybe he was pussyfooting it. I didn't question it. He goes to stage the car and it barely comes off idle. It revs up, it doesn't do anything. So we use nitrous to spool our turbo. The nitrous reference that it uses for how much nitrous we put in uses boost as an input. Well, the boost line, as it turns out, was laying in the belly pan, like it had come off the intake. So it's just a line that goes to a sensor, right? Had we test spooled the car that morning, we would have realized that it didn't spool, and we would have found that. That decision to not test spool the car is, I think, what effed us. And ultimately, it was my decision. I decided not to because we didn't have time, and I would rather opt for the coolest transmission possible to get us down the racetrack. We warmed the engine up to the bare minimum, and that was it. We come back, plug the data log in, and realize that the thing didn't spool because nitrous didn't come on because it didn't show any boost, so it didn't work at all. That was the end. We got left on the starting line with our dick in our hands and drove off. So check this cup out. My buddy Sonny Roush, I guess his wife made it. Pretty badass cup. So first time drinking out of it. Anyways, thanks, Sonny. All right, so we're out of eliminations with our Radio Versa World car, and we wanted so bad. I didn't care about a win light at all. I don't even care right now. I mean, it's not where we're at in the program with that. I am after numbers. I want to prove that this car can go as fast as the rest of those cars. I know it can. We just got to pull our heads out of our asses and make it happen. We've been 397 at 192, which is fast for us, but slow for a Radio Versa World car. We need to be going 360s and 350s at 200, 205, 210, whatever it takes, right? I think the tune-up in the car right now will go a bottom 370 at 200 plus. And then we've got to work on converter stuff and some other stuff to get us there. And I think it was going to do it on that pass. And for whatever reason, none of us can sit and think about the last time that line has been touched. And it's a -3 AN line, like a little tiny fitting. So however long it's taken for that thing to vibrate, not only loose, but vibrate enough to spin all the way down and off. I don't know. I mean, it could have been loose for months now, and we have no idea. If we would have test spooled, we would have realized that. I don't know when the line came off. Maybe when the transmission broke. That makes sense. Pretty pissed off about it, but things happen for a reason. Maybe we weren't supposed to get on the racetrack at that point in time. It is what it is. So Mike Dalton, first to go up in the truck class, I mean. So we realized that his converter was not working, the dump setup. So that we use the dumps to increase converter pressure down track, to make the converter tighter as we accelerate, to load the motor down harder so it goes faster, right? Well, his truck has been leaving the start line and then basically the converter's being a sponge until we get going fast enough for lockup. And that's why lockup comes on so aggressive, because the converter's not tight enough out there. I make a change. We get no testing because the last test pass that we could have used showed up with not enough fuel in it and it wouldn't even run. So we go to E1 with his brand new converter strategy, and he has more than double the charge pressure sitting on the start line, which makes 5 pounds more boost. Add that to the fact that I asked him to do a short burnout and he thought like stop short. I meant short burnout, like spinning the tires, and then you still got to roll out across the start line and grab that glue and bring it back, and he didn't do that. But I don't have a headset, I don't have a way to tell him that, so the way he did his burnout was the way he did his burnout. That's what we had to work with. And add that to the fact that they didn't prep the track. They sprayed what they told me was just straight M1 alcohol on the track and then drug it in to try to tighten it up, but no glue, no nothing. So let's call it just a sweep and drag and a short burnout without the rollout across the start line. And I added 5 pounds of boost unintentionally by changing his converter setup that we didn't get to test. Another thing that if we would have test spooled, we would have caught, and it is what it is. So he goes up, spins, goes nowhere, which is uncharacteristic for that truck, but looking at the data and everything all considered, I know why. Next truck up into eliminations is Enrique with the little Colorado. This truck is typically a bracket truck. I mean, it won't go any faster. He knows what he needs to do to add power to go faster, but it won't go any faster. And, you know, maybe this winter he'll finally do that. But for what it is right now, as fast as it goes on the track is as fast as I can make it go. It's been 104 60 foot, and it just goes and goes, and it's like a little bracket truck, right? So you don't have to work on it, you don't have to touch it. You basically just ride it like a go-kart, right? Just get back in and go to the start line. So first issue we've had with this truck, E1, of course, it shows its ass. We pull up he does a burnout. He uses nitrous to spool the turbos just like we all do, and gets to the end of the burnout and the nitrous solenoid hangs on. So it's just spraying nitrous, which when it comes back down to idle, the motor doesn't want that, shuts the motor off, and he's just dead in the water out there. So we've got to run up, rip his bed cover up, shut the bottles off. His one turbo that we spray nitrous into is just spinning like crazy, and the other truck takes the bulb and drives down the racetrack. So all 3 vehicles we brought to No Mercy struggle. Like, I can't remember a time coming to these races that we struggled this much and had no success at all. So this race is kind of a kick in the balls. Everything we brought is going home first round. It's Saturday. They're still racing. It's 7:15. I'm going home. GPS says I'll be home before 10 o'clock. So waking up in my own bed is way more important to me tonight than staying at that racetrack to watch more shit go wrong. We will go home, lick our wounds, figure out how to do this shit better, and find somewhere to race soon and get better at it.